Hi there, and welcome to another episode of 15 Minutes of Shame. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Twistin.
Did you just say twistin'?
Yeah, I know, it's weird. Someone told me to say it.
No, it's actually kind of cool.
Which is why I came up with it all by myself. Yep, that was all me.
Well, now that you say you came up with it, it's not really cool anymore.
Ugh, whatever. Hello out there to all you minute men and minute women. It sure has been a lot of minutes since our last show back in February.
That's right, and we missed a ton of outrageous stuff while we've been off the air. So we figured, hey, why not go ahead and catch everyone up? Here's all the big events from the past few months we thought were worth mentioning in our special segment, Catch Up. We've really been hard at work.
Time well spent. Well, last April finally marked the release of what America had been talking about for a whole year.
Ah, yes. I love the new Avengers movie.
Actually, I meant Robert Mueller's final report. But when you think about it, the two aren't that different. Both involve an uphill battle against a power-hungry titan whose skin color doesn't appear in nature. The only difference is that I didn't have a million friends trying to spoil the Mueller report for me.
Hey, Tristan, did you hear what happened on page 338, subsection 2?
Shut up! I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm still on page 338, subsection 1.
But in summary, Robert Mueller saw 14 million futures, and only one where Donald Trump got impeached.
And this apparently isn't that future. Trump's Attorney General William Barr was also criticized after a redacted version of the report was released that left much of the text covered by black lines. I'm just glad Barr didn't oversee the release of Avengers Endgame, or else there would only be an hour of the movie and 2 hours of covered-up screen.
Avengers Endgame has set box office records, as it has earned over $2.7 billion worldwide. But the big question was whether it would ever surpass James Cameron's Avatar. Not wanting to be outdone, Marvel Studios decided to re-release Endgame in a bid to pass Avatar and earn even more money.
Well, I like the sound of that idea, so I've decided to officially re-release my GoFundMe page for my hernia repair surgery. Sure, the surgery's already been completed, but ya boy Tristan needs some AirPods.
Are those all the jokes for that one?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Meanwhile, the 2020 presidential election is fast approaching, where so far, the Democratic field features a list of names longer than the credits of Avengers Endgame.
Brendan, that literally could have gone into the previous set of jokes. Doing it now just makes it confusing to the audience. Kinda sloppy, you know? Ugh.
You alright, Tristan?
Yeah. I've just been having a really rough day today. This morning when I got up, I stubbed my toe getting out of bed. Then, I fell getting into the shower and twisted my ankle. Plus, there was nothing in the fridge for dinner. I had to go out for fast food, and they totally screwed up my order. That's the last time I'll be eating at Burger...
Tristan! Wait! Remember the infringement lawsuit.
That's the last time I'll be eating at Sandwich Monarch. That's for darn sure.
Well, I'm sorry to hear you're having such a bad day. My day wasn't all too good either, though. When I was brushing my teeth this morning, the toothpaste wouldn't...
Brennan, that sounds like a private matter. Let's just try to keep it professional, all right?
But you just... all right. Well, since there's way too many Democrats running to name them all, mostly because I don't know all their names, here's some of the top candidates. Former Vice President Joe Biden.
This dog is hot on Trump's scent. That must be why he sniffs every woman he meets.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
Hey, so, if you're ever in a scenario where you're buying him milk, always get him whole milk, because he hates the 1%. It was the best I could do, all right?
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren.
If Trump calls her a Native American again, she's threatened to sue.
That was a reach. Also in the mix are California Senator Kamala Harris, former Texas House member Beto O'Rourke, and Mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg. Now, compared to Hillary in 2016, these candidates have taken some fresh, new approaches to campaigning, like visiting Michigan once.
Well, a lot of other things happened that we don't have time to get to, so we're just going to read the event and go through them rapid fire. And go. HBO's Game of Thrones has officially ended after 8 seasons.
The series finale attracted over 19.3 million viewers on only 12 HBO accounts. More than 50 people were indicted in a nationwide scandal for trying to bribe college admissions in order to get their kids accepted to prestigious universities.
As a high school kid trying to get into college, I find it disgusting that other kids can just get in if their parents are rich. Mine aren't, so I guess I'm just gonna have to cheat on the SAT like everyone else. A Ukrainian comedian known for playing a man who accidentally becomes the president of Ukraine on a TV show has been elected as the actual president of Ukraine, or, as he calls it, a contract extension.
This is actually great news, because if he ever bombs the wrong country, hey, there's always take two. WikiLeaks co-founder and homeless Dumbledore Julian Assange was arrested in the Ecuadorian embassy in London after his asylum was revoked. Assange was carried out of the embassy by 4 policemen.
I saw the video of the arrest, and it seemed pretty embarrassing for Assange. Maybe someone should check his pants for some WikiLeaks.
And that wraps up our segment, Catch Up. If there's any news we didn't include, it's either because it wasn't important, or we couldn't think of a joke for it.
Yeah, it wasn't important. That was the reason.
Well, during our hiatus from this show, Tristan and I were lucky enough to go on a trip to Germany.
This isn't a bit for the podcast. It actually happened back in March. We went for 10 days and saw some pretty amazing things. We figured we'd give you the highlights and lowlights here. But don't take it from us. Here to tell our story is a man who's been to Germany many more times than I have, Rick Steves, ladies and gentlemen, in a special edition of Travels with Rick Steves. And welcome back to Travels with Rick Steves, with me, Rick Steves. Not that you asked, but I'm actually not wearing a blue pastel shirt as usual. I decided to mix things up a little bit and revitalize my life. I'm wearing a green pastel shirt. Make way for a man I like to call New Rick. Hello there, New Rick. Why don't you tell us about Tristan and Brendan's adventures in Germany? Sure thing, old Rick. For 10 days, these intrepid explorers, along with their friend Alex, roamed the streets of Deutschland, a paradise of universal healthcare and beer. Let's begin. Tristan and Brendan started off in Munich, the 3rd largest city in Germany, and home to some beautiful architecture. They spent most of the time trying not to get run over by people on bikes. While in Munich, they got the first taste of that famous Deutschland cuisine, which was a whole lot of meat, bread, and more meat. And more bread. And a little more meat. For 2 nights, they stayed in a local youth hostel, somehow escaping without significant infection. But Tristan and Brendan mainly spent their time in the charming little village of Waldorf. They both got to meet their host family, with whom they each spent 5 nights. Brendan spent the time with a wonderful, polite young man whose father was a doctor, but unfortunately Tristan drew the short end of the straw when it came to wholesome, family-friendly comfort. He soon realized that his host was the partying type, a boy who loved motorcycles and drank to excess. During the day, they attended the local school, participating in engaging, challenging work, like watching 22 Jump Street during chemistry class. In the afternoon, they hung out with their host families. Brendan was treated to a lovely time, often dining out at gourmet restaurants, but once again, Tristan's cultural experience was in stark contrast. He was forced to sit there in his host's bedroom while people around him were getting inebriated and listening to Eminem. Afterwards, he relaxed by picking up the empty beer bottles and putting them in a laundry basket for the parents to take downstairs. All part of a day's work. When Tristan and Brendan finally returned home, they brought back wonderful German souvenirs with them, like train tickets, chocolate, and, in Tristan's case, strep throat. Rest assured, the 2 boys will never forget the time they spent in Germany for very different reasons. I'm Rick Steves.
Thank you, Rick. Although I must say, I very much enjoyed our trip to Germany.
Yeah, speak for yourself. I'm pretty sure our experiences were like that Charles Dickens novel, A Tale of Two Cities. For me, it was the worst of times. It was the worst of times.
Oh, come on. The host families were really nice.
Brendan, I was surrounded by a bunch of drunk people I could barely communicate with, and I sat in chocolate someone had smeared all over the couch cushion I had to sleep on an hour later. And I ended up having to wipe down the sofa with extra glasses cleaners I brought from home. But it wasn't all bad. You know what they say, if you can't beat 'em, sit in the corner and protect your belongings.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of 15 Minutes of Shame, everybody.
The second Democratic debate is scheduled for July 30th and 31st, so stay tuned for the next episode where we preview who's in and who's out in a special edition of 15 Minutes of Shame.
Until then, folks, I'm Brendan.
And I'm Twistin'. See you next time.